Chosen one, God said, don't take another step until you hear this. His voice is calling you to pause, to listen, to receive a message so urgent it will redefine your path. The Creator has something critical to reveal, a divine instruction that will shift your life into a realm of purpose, prosperity, and unshakable peace. This isn't just a moment to reflect. It's a divine checkpoint, a sacred pause where God is aligning your heart with His perfect plan. Stay with me, because what's coming will light a fire in your soul and guide you to a future where every step you take is backed by heaven's power. God is speaking directly to you right now, chosen one. He sees where you stand, maybe at a crossroads, maybe in the middle of a storm, maybe on the edge of a dream you're afraid to chase. But His message is clear. Stop rushing, stop doubting, stop moving without His guidance. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness isn't about giving up, it's about tuning in, about letting His voice cut through the noise of the world. When you pause to hear Him, you're not delaying your destiny, you're securing it. You're planting your feet on solid ground, ready to receive the wisdom that will carry you to victory. Picture a compass in your hand, spinning wildly because of the chaos around you, bills piling up, dreams feeling distant, voices telling you to give up. God is saying, stop, and let me reset your direction. He's not asking you to figure it all out alone. He's asking you to trust Him, to let His hand steady the compass, to let His truth point you to the path He's already paved. This moment of pause is your divine reset, a chance to realign with a plan that's bigger than your fears, greater than your doubts, and more powerful than any obstacle. Right now, chosen one, your spirit is stirring because you know this message is for you. If you feel that pull, that spark of divine truth, take a second to type 777 inches, the comments below. That number isn't just a symbol. It's a declaration that you're ready to hear God's voice, to follow His lead, to step into His plan. Your comment is a signal to the heavens that you're claiming this moment. Do it now, and feel the shift as God moves in your favor. God's instruction to pause doesn't mean your journey stops. It means your journey is about to accelerate. Think of a runner at the starting line, crouched, focused, waiting for the signal. That moment of stillness is where power builds, where strength gathers, where clarity sharpens. When God says, don't take another step, He's preparing you for a sprint toward purpose, a leap toward prosperity, a stride toward a life that reflects His glory. Your pause is not a delay. It's the gathering of divine momentum, ready to propel you forward with unstoppable force. You've been carrying burdens, maybe financial stress, maybe broken relationships, maybe a dream that feels out of reach. God sees every weight on your shoulders, and He's saying, lay them down. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This rest isn't about sitting still forever. It's about releasing what's holding you back so you can move freely into His plan. When you pause to hear Him, you're not just letting go of worry. You're picking up faith, courage, and a vision that will change everything. Let's talk about what happens when you listen. God's voice isn't vague or distant. It's clear, personal, and powerful. He's not just giving you advice. He's giving you a blueprint. Maybe He's telling you to start that business you've been dreaming about, to forgive someone who hurt you, or to take a bold step you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, His guidance is your guarantee. Proverbs 3:6 says, "In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." When you stop to hear Him, you're not wandering, you're being directed, step by step, toward a future that shines with his promise. Chosen one, your presence here is no accident. You're part of a community of souls who feel God's call, who know they're destined for more. If this message is speaking to you, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking this path of divine purpose. Your support keeps this light burning, spreading hope to those who need it. Now, let's keep moving, because God's message is just getting started. This pause isn't about fear, it's about focus. The world wants you to rush, to chase quick fixes, to move without purpose. But God's plan is different. He's calling you to stand still long enough to see the opportunities He's placed before you. Think of Moses at the Red Sea, with an army behind him and a wall of water in front. God didn't tell him to panic or run. He told him to stand firm, and then He parted the waters. Exodus 14:14 says, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Your Red Sea moment is here. Chosen one, stop, listen, and watch God make a way where there seems to be none. What's on the other side of this pause? A life where money flows to you, not because you chased it, but because you aligned with God's will. A life where peace guards your heart, not because problems disappeared, but because you trust the one who solves them. A life where your purpose shines, not because you forced it, but because you followed His voice. This isn't about getting rich quick or living without challenges. It's about living with divine clarity, where every step you take is guided by the Creator Himself. If this truth is hitting home, if you feel God's voice stirring your soul, type 777 inches the comments below. Let the universe know you're ready to pause, to listen, to receive His divine instruction. This is your moment to align with His plan, to step into a future where nothing can hold you back. Do it now, chosen one, and let the heavens hear your faith. Let's talk about the power of this moment. When you stop to hear God, you're not just waiting, you're receiving. You're opening your heart to wisdom that the world can't give, to opportunities that logic can't explain, to blessings that defy expectation. God's voice is a treasure map, and every word He speaks is a step toward the riches He's prepared for you. These riches aren't just money, though He may bless you with abundance beyond your dreams. They're the wealth of purpose, the riches of peace, the treasure of a life lived in His presence. You might be thinking, I've been stuck before and nothing changed. But this is different. This pause isn't about being stuck, it's about being strategic. God is repositioning you, realigning you, preparing you for a breakthrough that will shake the foundations of your life. Think of David before he faced Goliath. He didn't rush into battle. He paused, gathered his stones, and trusted God's plan. 1 Samuel 17:45 shows David saying, "I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." That pause gave him the strength to win. Your pause is giving you the strength to conquer your giants. Chosen one, God's message to you is urgent because your time is now. The dreams you've carried, the prayers you've whispered, the hopes you've held onto, they're not forgotten. God has been working behind the scenes, setting the stage for your victory. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." Your beautiful time is unfolding, but you need to hear His voice to step into it fully. Don't move forward without His guidance. Pause, listen, and let Him show you the way. This moment is also about trust. Trusting God means letting go of your need to control the outcome. You don't have to know every step, just the next one. And God is faithful to show you that step when you stop to hear Him. Psalm 32:8 says, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you." His eye is on you, chosen one. He's watching, guiding, loving you through every moment. Trust him and watch how he turns your pause into a pathway to abundance. If this message is setting your spirit on fire, if you're ready to claim this divine moment, type 777 inches the comments below. Declare that you're pausing to hear God's voice, that you're ready to follow his lead. This is your act of faith, your moment to align with his unstoppable plan. Do it now, chosen one, and feel the power of his presence moving in your life. Now, let's talk about what's waiting for you when you follow God's instruction. Picture a door, one that's been locked for years, holding back the blessings meant for you. That door leads to a life where financial stress fades, where opportunities find you, where your purpose becomes clear. This isn't a fantasy, it's a promise. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you." Your pause unlocks that door, and what's behind it is a future crafted by God himself. You've been through trials, chosen one. Maybe you've faced betrayal, loss, or moments when you doubted yourself. But God sees your strength. Every scar you carry is a badge of your resilience, proof that you're built for this moment. Those trials weren't meant to break you, they were meant to shape you, to prepare you for the weight of the blessings coming your way. Romans 5:3-4 says, "Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." Your hope is alive, and it's about to meet God's provision. This pause is also a moment to release the past. You can't step into God's future carrying old wounds. Forgive those who hurt you. Let go of the mistakes that you've made. Trust that God is making all things new. Revelation 21:5 says, "Behold, I am making everything new." This is your fresh start, chosen one. When you stop to hear God, you're not just receiving direction, you're receiving healing, restoration, and a new beginning. Your presence here is powerful, chosen one. You're part of a movement of souls who are saying yes to God's call, who are ready to live in his abundance. If this message is lifting your spirit, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones stepping into their divine purpose. Your support helps carry this truth to others who need it. Let's keep going, because God's message is burning brighter with every word. God's instruction to pause is also about vision. When you stop the rush of life, you give yourself space to see what he sees. Maybe you've been so focused on surviving that you've forgotten how to dream. God is saying, look up. He's showing you a vision of a life where you're not just getting by, you're thriving. A life where your talents shine, where your ideas create impact, where your faith moves mountains. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision, make it plain. Write down what God shows you in this pause, chosen one. It's the blueprint for your destiny. This moment isn't about standing still forever. It's about standing in faith. When you pause to hear God, you're not losing time. You're gaining eternity. Every second you spend listening to him is an investment in a future that's secure, prosperous, and filled with purpose. God's voice is your compass, your map, your guarantee that you're headed exactly where you're meant to be. Trust him and watch how he turns this moment into a miracle. If this truth is shaking your soul, if you're ready to pause and receive God's divine direction, type 777 inches the comments below. Let the world know you're aligning with his plan, that you're ready to step into his promises. This is your moment. Chosen one, claim it now and watch how God moves. Let's talk about the power of obedience. When God says, don't take another step, he's not holding you back. He's setting you up. Obedience to his voice is the key that unlocks every door. 1 Samuel 15:22 says, "To obey is better than sacrifice." When you listen and act on his guidance, you're not just following instructions, you're stepping into a flow of blessings that can't be stopped. Whether it's a small step or a bold leap, God will meet you there, amplifying your efforts into miracles. You're not alone in this, chosen one. God is with you, guiding you, protecting you. The world may try to pull you back into chaos, but his voice is stronger. The enemy may whisper lies about your worth, but God's truth is louder. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Angels are surrounding you right now, shielding you as you pause to hear his voice. You're safe, you're seen, and you're chosen for something extraordinary. This pause is also about gratitude. When you stop to hear God, you're reminded of everything he's already done. Think about the times he carried you through, the doors he opened, the strength he gave you. Gratitude isn't just saying thank you, it's a magnet that pulls more blessings into your life. Philippians 4:6 says, "With thanksgiving, present your requests to God." Thank him now for the guidance he's giving, for the path he's clearing, for the future he's building. Your gratitude is a bridge to his abundance. God's message is urgent because your impact is needed. The world is waiting for you to step into your purpose, to shine your light, to share your gifts. You're not just pausing for yourself, you're pausing for the lives you'll touch, the dreams you'll inspire, the hope you'll spread. Your obedience to God's voice isn't just about your victory, it's about the victories of everyone connected to you. Luke 6:38 says, "Give, and it will be given to you." Your faith, your pause, your trust, they're gifts that will multiply. This moment is a turning point. Chosen one. When you stop to hear God, you're not just changing your direction, you're changing your destiny. You're stepping out of the ordinary and into the extraordinary, out of lack and into abundance, out of fear and into faith. God's voice is your foundation, your strength, your guarantee that nothing can stop what he's started in you. Romans 8:31 says, "If God is for us, who can be against us? No one, chosen one, no one." Let's talk about the clarity this pause brings. When you listen to God, the fog of confusion lifts. You start to see the next step, the right choice, the open door. Maybe it's a new job, a bold idea, or a relationship that needs healing. Whatever it is, God's voice makes it clear. Isaiah 30:21 says, "Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" Trust that voice, chosen one. It's leading you to a life of purpose and power. You've been chosen for this moment because you're ready. God didn't pick you by accident. He picked you because he trusts you. He knows you have the strength to pause, the faith to listen, the courage to act. Your life is about to become a testimony of his faithfulness, a story that will inspire others to trust him too. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your pause is the spark that will light up the world. God's instruction to stop isn't about holding you back. It's about setting you free. Free from worry, free from doubt, free from paths that lead nowhere. When you pause to hear him, you're stepping into a life where every move is guided, every dream is possible, every promise is yours. This is your moment, chosen one, to hear his voice and let it change everything. Stay with me, because God's message is unfolding and it's about to take you higher than you've ever been. Chosen one, God's call to pause is a sacred invitation to step into his rhythm, to move in sync with the heartbeat of heaven. The world pushes you to rush, to fill every moment with noise. But God is pulling you into a space where His whisper becomes louder than the chaos. This isn't about slowing down, it's about tuning in, about letting His timing guide your steps. Psalm 37:7 says, "Be still before the Lord, and wait patiently for Him." When you pause, you're not losing ground, you're gaining divine alignment, positioning yourself for blessings that flow in perfect sync with His plan. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, waves crashing with power, each one carrying a promise from God. That ocean is His provision, His wisdom, His purpose for you. When you stop to hear Him, you're not just standing still. You're diving into that ocean, letting its current carry you to places you could never reach on your own. This pause is your moment to trust the waves, to let God's voice guide you through the depths, to discover treasures hidden beneath the surface of your life. Your heart is a sacred compass, chosen one, and God is recalibrating it. The world's distractions, fear, comparison, failure have tried to pull you off course, but His voice is stronger. When you pause, you give Him space to realign your desires with His purpose. Maybe you've been chasing goals that don't fulfill you, or running from fears that don't define you. God is saying, "Stop, and let me show you what I see." Jeremiah 33:3 says, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." This pause is your call, and His answer is coming. You're not just pausing to rest, you're pausing to receive power. Think of Elijah in 1 Kings 19, hiding in a cave, overwhelmed by fear and exhaustion. God didn't push him to keep running, He met him in the stillness, speaking in a gentle whisper. That whisper gave Elijah the strength to rise, to face his enemies, to fulfill his calling. Your pause is your cave moment, chosen one. God's whisper is filling you with courage, clarity, and a fire that will burn through every obstacle in your path. This moment is about surrender, but not the kind that makes you weak. Surrendering to God's voice means letting go of plans that don't serve His purpose, dreams that don't align with His vision, fears that don't belong in His presence. It's about handing Him the map you've been clutching and trusting Him to draw a better one. Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you." When you pause to hear Him, you're casting your burdens into His hands, and He's replacing them with strength that sustains you. God's instruction to stop is also a call to see yourself as He sees you. You're not just another face in the crowd, you're His masterpiece, created for a purpose that sets you apart. The world may try to define you by your mistakes, your struggles, or your past, but God defines you by His love. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This pause is your moment to embrace that truth, to see yourself as His chosen one, destined for greatness. Let's talk about the power of waiting. Waiting on God isn't about being passive, it's about being expectant. It's standing at the edge of your promise, eyes fixed on the horizon, knowing that what's coming is worth every second of the wait. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." Your pause is renewing you, chosen one. It's filling you with a strength that doesn't come from effort but from faith. A power that doesn't fade but grows stronger with every moment you trust Him. You've been through seasons where you felt overlooked, underestimated, or forgotten, but God never lost sight of you. Every moment you felt invisible was a moment He was preparing you for something visible, something undeniable. This pause is your preparation for the spotlight He's about to shine on you. Luke 8:17 says, For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed. Your gifts, your purpose, your destiny, they're about to be revealed, and the world will see the light God has placed in you. God's voice is also a shield, chosen one. When you pause to hear him, you're stepping under his protection. The enemy wants to keep you moving in circles, trapped in doubt or distraction, but God's voice breaks those chains. Psalm 3:3 says, "But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high." This pause is your shield, guarding you from lies, guarding your heart from fear, guarding your future from anything that isn't his plan. You're not just pausing to hear words, you're pausing to receive a vision. God is painting a picture of your future, one where lack gives way to abundance, where confusion gives way to clarity, where dreams become reality. This vision isn't a daydream, it's a divine promise. Habakkuk 2:3 says, "For the vision awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false." Trust the picture God is showing you, chosen one. Write it down, hold it close, and let it guide you through this pause. This moment is also about breaking free from comparison. The world wants you to measure your worth against others, to feel small because someone else seems ahead. But God's plan for you is unique, crafted just for you. When you pause to hear him, you stop running someone else's race and start running your own. Galatians 6:4 says, "Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves without comparing themselves to someone else." Your pause is your freedom, chosen one, letting you embrace the path God designed for you alone. God's instruction to stop is a call to trust his timing. You might feel like time is running out, like you're too late to chase your dreams, but God's clock doesn't tick like the world's. He's never late, never rushed, never out of time. 2 Peter 3:8 says, "With the Lord a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." This pause is your reminder that God's timing is perfect, that your breakthrough is right on schedule, that your destiny is unfolding exactly as he planned. You're not just pausing to hear, you're pausing to become. Every moment you spend listening to God is shaping you into the person he created you to be. You're becoming bolder, wiser, more aligned with his purpose. This isn't just about what you'll receive, it's about who you'll become. Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Your pause is renewing you, chosen one, preparing you to step into a life that reflects God's glory in every way. God's voice is also a promise of provision. When you stop to hear him, you're not just getting direction, you're getting resources. He's aligning people, opportunities, and blessings to meet you on your path. Philippians 4:19 says, "And my God will meet all your needs, according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus." Trust that this pause is opening the door to provision, to a flow of abundance that will carry you through every step of his plan. This moment is your divine intersection, chosen one, where your past meets your future, where your faith meets God's promises. Every trial you've faced has led you here. Every prayer you've prayed has been heard. Every step you've taken has been guided. This pause is where it all converges, where God's voice ties it all together, showing you how every moment was preparation for what's next. Isaiah 55:11 says, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty. His word to you will not fail, chosen one." It's already working. You're not alone in this pause. God is with you, speaking to you, shaping you. The angels are watching, the heavens are cheering, and a community of chosen ones is standing with you. Your faith is a light that inspires others, a spark that ignites hope. If this message is stirring your soul, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones embracing God's call. Your support keeps this truth spreading, lighting the way for others. Let's keep moving, because God's voice is leading you to something extraordinary. This pause is also about reclaiming your authority. The enemy has tried to steal your confidence, to make you doubt your calling, to dim your light. But when you stop to hear God, you're reminded of who you are, a child of the King, anointed for purpose, chosen for impact. Luke 10:19 says, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy." Your pause is your moment to stand tall, to reclaim your power, to walk in the authority God has given you. God's instruction to stop is a call to see the bigger picture. You've been focused on the details, the bills, the deadlines, the struggles. But God sees the whole story. He sees the victory waiting, the doors opening, the legacy you're building. When you pause, you get a glimpse of His perspective, a view of a future where every piece fits together perfectly. Psalm 139:16 says, "All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Trust that this pause is part of His story for you, chosen one. You're not just pausing to listen, you're pausing to prepare. God is equipping you for what's ahead, strengthening your faith, sharpening your vision, filling you with courage. Think of Joshua, standing before the Jordan River, ready to lead his people into the promised land. God told him to prepare, to trust, to move. When He said move, Joshua 1-9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you." Your pause is your preparation, chosen one, for a promised land of your own. This moment is also about healing. When you stop to hear God, you're giving Him space to mend what's broken your heart, your dreams, your confidence. His voice is a balm, soothing the wounds of the past, restoring what was lost. Psalm 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." Let His voice wash over you, chosen one, healing every hurt, preparing you for the abundance waiting just beyond this pause. God's call to stop is a call to trust His process. You might want to rush ahead, to force things to happen, but His way is better. Every moment you spend listening to Him is a moment you're building a foundation for lasting success. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Trust His process, chosen one. This pause is establishing your steps, setting you up for a future that shines with His glory. You're not just pausing, you're positioning yourself for miracles. When you stop to hear God, you're stepping into a space where the impossible becomes possible, where dreams become reality, where His power flows through you. Mark 10:27 says, "With man this is impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God." Your pause is your gateway to the impossible, chosen one, to a life where His miracles unfold in ways you never imagined. This moment is also about rediscovering your joy. The world's pressures may have dulled your spark, but God's voice reignites it. When you pause to hear Him, you're reminded that His plan is not just about survival. It's about thriving, about living with a joy that radiates. Nehemiah 8:10 says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength. Let His voice fill you with joy, chosen one." A strength that carries you through every challenge, a light that shines through every storm. God's instruction to stop is a call to embrace your purpose. You weren't created to wander aimlessly. You were created to make a difference, to leave a mark, to build something eternal. When you pause, you're giving God space to clarify that purpose, to show you the impact you're destined to have. Ephesians 3:20 says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine." Your pause is unlocking that immeasurably more, chosen one, leading you to a purpose bigger than you ever dreamed. You're standing at a divine threshold, where the ordinary meets the extraordinary, where your faith meets God's power. This pause is your moment to cross that threshold, to step into a life where every moment is guided, every dream is possible, every promise is yours. Trust his voice, chosen one, and let it lead you into a future that burns with his glory. Stay with me, because God's message is unfolding, and it's about to change everything. Chosen one, God's call to pause is a divine signal to recalibrate your spirit, to align your heart with the frequency of his purpose. The world bombards you with demands: move faster, achieve more, keep up, but God is pulling you into a sacred space where his voice becomes your guide. This isn't about standing still, it's about standing in truth, letting his words reshape your perspective. Psalm 25:5 says, "Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior." When you stop to hear him, you're not halting progress, you're anchoring yourself to a truth that will lead you to unshakable victory. Picture yourself on a mountain trail, the path ahead shrouded in fog, each step uncertain. God's voice is the wind that clears the mist, revealing a trail marked with his promises. When you pause, you're not lost, you're found, standing exactly where he wants you to be. His guidance lights the way, showing you steps you couldn't see, paths you didn't know existed. This moment of stillness is your chance to trust his direction, to follow a trail that leads to abundance, purpose, and a life that echoes his glory. You've been carrying questions maybe about your future, your finances, or your place in the world. God sees every doubt, every uncertainty, and he's saying, "Stop and let me answer." His voice doesn't just offer solutions, it offers certainty. John 16:24 says, "Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete." When you pause to hear him, you're asking for his wisdom, and he's ready to pour out answers that fill you with joy, clarity, and confidence to move forward. This pause is also about rediscovering your strength. The world may have worn you down, making you feel small or unworthy, but God's voice restores you. Think of Gideon, hiding in a winepress, feeling like the least of his people. God didn't see weakness. He saw a mighty warrior. Judges 6:12 says, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Your pause is God's moment to call out the warrior in you, to remind you that his strength flows through you, ready to conquer any challenge. God's instruction to stop is a call to break free from distraction. The world fills your mind with noise, endless tasks, opinions, fears, but his voice cuts through it all. When you pause, you're silencing the chaos and amplifying his truth. Psalm 62:5 says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him." This rest isn't laziness, it's focus, a deliberate choice to let his hope guide you, to let his voice drown out the clutter and lead you to clarity. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for a divine shift. God is rearranging the pieces of your life, aligning circumstances, opening doors you didn't even know were there. This moment is your backstage, where he's setting the stage for your next act. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" When you stop to hear him, you start to see it, the new thing he's doing, the breakthrough he's crafting, the future he's unfolding. Your pause is also a moment of worship. When you stop to hear God, you're not just listening, you're honoring Him, declaring that His voice matters more than the world's. Worship isn't just singing or praying, it's giving Him your attention, your trust, your heart. Psalm 95:6 says, "Come, let us bow down in worship, let us kneel before the Lord our Maker." This pause is your act of worship, chosen one, a moment where you bow before His wisdom and rise in His power. God's voice is a compass for your calling. You weren't created to drift through life. You were created to make an impact, to leave a legacy, to shine His light. When you pause, you're letting Him sharpen your purpose, showing you how your gifts fit into His plan. 1 Corinthians 12:7 says, "Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good." Your pause is unlocking those gifts, chosen one, preparing you to bless others with the unique light God placed in you. This moment is about trust in action. Trusting God doesn't mean sitting back. It means moving when He says move, pausing when He says pause. It's about following His rhythm, not the world's. Think of Noah, building an ark while the world mocked him. His obedience to God's voice saved his family and changed history. Genesis 6:22 says, "Noah did everything just as God commanded him." Your pause is your obedience, chosen one, setting you up for a story that will echo through time. You're part of something bigger, chosen one. Your pause isn't just for you, it's for the lives you'll touch, the hope you'll spread, the love you'll share. God is calling you to a purpose that ripples beyond your own life, touching your family, your community, the world. If this message is stirring your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones stepping into God's plan. Your support keeps this truth alive, reaching others who need it. Let's keep going, because God's voice is leading you to greatness. God's instruction to stop is also a call to release control. You've been trying to hold it all together, your plans, your fears, your future, but God is saying, "Give it to me." When you pause, you're handing Him the reins, trusting that His hands are steadier than yours. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." Your pause is your surrender, chosen one, letting His purpose take the lead. This moment is about seeing the invisible. The world shows you limits, what you can't do, what you don't have, but God shows you possibilities. When you stop to hear Him, you start to see what He sees. Opportunities hidden in challenges, blessings disguised as struggles, a future brighter than your past. 2 Corinthians 4:18 says, "So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen." Your pause is your moment to fix your eyes on God's unseen promises, to trust the future He's building. You're not just pausing, you're planting. Every moment you spend listening to God is a seed sown in faith, ready to grow into a harvest of blessings. Galatians 6:7 says, "A man reaps what he sows." Your pause is a seed of trust, of obedience, of hope. It's planting a future where abundance flows, where purpose thrives, where your life becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness. Keep sowing, chosen one, because your harvest is coming. God's voice is also a weapon. When you pause to hear Him, you're arming yourself with His truth, a power that no enemy can withstand. The world may throw doubts, fears, or setbacks at you, but His voice is your shield. Ephesians 6:17 says, "Take the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God." This pause is your moment to take up that sword, to let His word cut through every lie, to stand firm in the power of His truth. You've been chosen for a moment like this, chosen one. God didn't bring you here by accident. He brought you here to prepare you, to equip you, to anoint you for what's next. Your pause is your training ground, where He's strengthening your faith, sharpening your vision, filling you with courage. Esther 4:14 says, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? This is your time, chosen one, and this pause is your preparation." God's instruction to stop is a call to embrace His peace. The world offers stress, but He offers calm. When you pause to hear Him, you're stepping into a peace that anchors you, no matter the storm. John 16:33 says, "In me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world." Your pause is your moment to take heart, to rest in His victory, to let His peace guide you forward. You're not just pausing, you're partnering with God. His voice isn't just a command, it's an invitation to co-create with Him, to build a future that reflects His glory. When you stop to hear Him, you're stepping into a divine collaboration where your faith meets His power, your dreams meet His provision, your purpose meets His plan. Colossians 1:29 says, "To this end I strenuously contend with all the energy Christ so powerfully works in me." Your pause is your moment to tap into that energy, chosen one, to let His power work through you. This moment is about rediscovering your voice. The world may have tried to silence you, to make you doubt your worth, but God's voice restores yours. When you pause, you're not just listening, you're learning to speak His truth, to declare His promises, to proclaim your purpose. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death." Your pause is your moment to speak life, to declare abundance, to call forth the future God has planned. God's call to stop is also a call to trust His protection. The enemy wants to keep you running, afraid, uncertain, but God's voice is your fortress. When you pause, you're stepping into His safety, where no attack can touch you. Psalm 91:4 says, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge." This pause is your refuge, chosen one, a place where His protection surrounds you, preparing you for the journey ahead. You're standing at a divine crossroads, where every choice you make is guided by His voice. This pause isn't about indecision, it's about discernment, about letting God show you which path to take. Proverbs 4:18 says, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." Your pause is your dawn, chosen one, the moment when His light begins to shine, guiding you to a future that glows with His promise. Stay with me, because God's voice is leading you to a life that will leave the world in awe. Chosen one, God's call to pause is a divine summons to step into His sanctuary, a sacred space where His voice becomes your anchor. The world pulls you in 1,000 directions, chasing goals, dodging fears, battling doubts. But God is inviting you to rest in His presence, to let His words steady your soul. This isn't about standing idle, it's about standing in awe, letting His truth reshape your heart. Psalm 16:11 says, "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence." When you stop to hear Him, you're not just finding direction, you're finding joy, a joy that fuels your journey toward His promises. Imagine a lighthouse standing firm against a stormy sea, its beam cutting through the darkness, guiding ships to safety. That's what God's voice is for you right now, a steady light piercing the chaos of your life. When you pause, you're not retreating, you're anchoring yourself to His guidance, letting His light show you the way. This moment of stillness is your lighthouse, chosen one, a beacon that keeps you from crashing on the rocks, leading you to a harbor of abundance and purpose. You've been carrying dreams, maybe buried under years of disappointment. may be dimmed by the weight of life's demands. God sees every hope you've held, every vision you've tucked away, and He's saying, "Stop and let me revive them." His voice isn't just a call to pause, it's a call to resurrect what you thought was lost. Ezekiel 37:4 says, "Prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord." Your pause is your moment to hear His word, chosen one, to let Him breathe life into your dreams. This pause is also about reclaiming your time. The world tells you to hurry, to fill every second with action, but God's economy of time is different. When you stop to hear Him, you're redeeming moments that might have been wasted, turning them into seeds of eternity. Ephesians 5:16 says, "Make the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." Your pause is your opportunity, chosen one, a chance to align your time with His purpose, to make every moment count for His glory. God's voice is a fire, burning away what doesn't belong in your life. Maybe you've been holding on to guilt, fear, or a past that no longer defines you. When you pause, you're stepping into His refining flame, letting Him purify your heart for what's ahead. Malachi 3:2-3 says, "He will be like a refiner's fire or a launderer's soap." This pause is your refining, chosen one, a moment where His voice cleanses you, preparing you for a future that shines with His brilliance. You're not just pausing, you're positioning yourself for divine connections. God is bringing people into your life, mentors, partners, friends who will walk with you, lift you up, and amplify your purpose. When you stop to hear Him, you're opening your heart to recognize these divine appointments, to see the hands He's extended to help you. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Your pause is your moment to be sharpened, chosen one, to be surrounded by those who will spark your greatness. This moment is about rediscovering your courage. The world may have tried to make you shrink, to doubt your strength, but God's voice calls out the lion within you. Think of Daniel in the lion's den, facing death with unshakable faith. Daniel 6:22 says, "My God sent His angel, and He shut the mouths of the lions." When you pause to hear God, you're stepping into His protection, where no threat can touch you, where your courage roars louder than any fear. God's instruction to stop is a call to trust His provision. You might be worried about money, opportunities, or resources, but His voice is your assurance that everything you need is already yours. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." Your pause is your seeking, chosen one, a moment where you prioritize His voice and watch Him provide in ways that leave you in awe. You're part of a divine movement, chosen one, a community of souls who hear God's call and answer with faith. If this message is lighting a fire in your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking in His purpose. Your support keeps this truth spreading, touching lives that need His light. Let's keep moving, because God's voice is guiding you to a future that will change everything. This pause is also about embracing your identity. The world may label you by your failures, your circumstances, or your past, but God labels you as His chosen. When you stop to hear Him, you're reminded of who you are, a child of the King, destined for glory. 1 Peter 2:9 says, "You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." Your pause is your moment to claim that identity, chosen one, to walk in the royalty He's given you. God's voice is a map for your mission. You weren't created to just exist. You were created to build, to create, to make a difference. When you pause, You're letting him draw the lines, showing you where to go, what to do, who to reach. Acts 13:47 says, I have made you a light for the Gentiles, that you may bring salvation to the ends of the earth. Your pause is your commissioning, chosen one, preparing you to carry his light to the world. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for a divine overflow. God's blessings don't trickle, they pour. When you stop to hear him, you're opening your life to a flood of abundance, wisdom, and favor. Joel 2:25 says, I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. Your pause is your moment to receive that repayment, chosen one, to see God restore what was lost and multiply what's ahead. This moment is about breaking free from fear. The enemy wants you to run in panic, to doubt your path. But God's voice anchors you in faith. When you pause, you're stepping out of fear's grip and into his embrace. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Your pause is your power, chosen one, a moment where his Spirit fills you with boldness to face anything. God's instruction to stop is a call to see his faithfulness. Think back to the moments he's carried you through pain, through loss, through uncertainty. Every time you thought you wouldn't make it, he did. Deuteronomy 7:9 says, Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God. Your pause is your moment to remember his faithfulness, chosen one, to trust that he's leading you to a future where his promises never fail. You're not just pausing, you're stepping into divine clarity. The world clouds your mind with confusion, but God's voice brings focus. When you stop to hear him, you see the next step, the right choice, the path forward. Isaiah 42:16 says, I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. Your pause is your guide, chosen one, leading you through the unknown to a destination marked by his glory. This moment is also about reclaiming your peace. The world offers stress, but God offers calm. When you pause, you're letting his peace wash over you, steadying your heart for what's ahead. Philippians 4:7 says, And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Your pause is your peace, chosen one, a shield that protects you as you step into his plan. God's voice is a promise of victory. You faced battles maybe with finances, relationships, or self-doubt, but his voice declares that you're more than a conqueror. Romans 8:37 says, In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. When you pause to hear him, you're claiming that victory, chosen one, stepping into a life where no battle can defeat you, because he's already won. You're standing at a divine turning point where his voice transforms your path. This pause isn't about delay, it's about destiny, about letting God redirect you to a future that shines with his purpose. Psalm 32:11 says, Rejoice in the Lord and be glad, you righteous. Sing, all you who are upright in heart. Your pause is your moment to rejoice, chosen one, to sing of his goodness as he leads you to a life of abundance and impact. Stay with me, because God's message is unfolding and it's about to lift you higher than ever before. Chosen one, God's call to pause is a divine command to step into his wisdom, to let his voice reshape the way you see your journey. The world pushes you to act without thinking, to chase without purpose, but God is inviting you to stop and receive his insight. This isn't about hesitation, it's about revelation, about letting his truth illuminate your next move. Proverbs 2:6 says, For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. When you pause to hear him, you're not just waiting, you're gaining the wisdom to walk in victory. Picture a riverbed, dry and cracked from years of drought, suddenly filled with rushing water. That's what God's voice does for your soul when you stop to listen. Your heart, once parched by doubt or struggle, is being flooded with His life-giving truth. This pause isn't about emptiness, it's about overflow, about letting His words pour into you, reviving your spirit, and preparing you for a season of abundance. Your stillness is the moment the river begins to flow, chosen one, carrying you toward a future that sparkles with His promise. You've been navigating life's storms, maybe financial strain, maybe broken dreams, maybe moments of feeling unseen. God sees every wave you've faced, and He's saying, "Stop and let me calm the sea." His voice isn't just guidance, it's authority, commanding the chaos to bow. Mark 4:39 says, "He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, 'Quiet, be still.'" Your pause is your moment to let His authority silence your storms, chosen one, to trust that He's bringing peace where there was once turmoil. This pause is also about rediscovering your worth. The world may have tried to measure you by what you lack, but God measures you by His love. When you stop to hear Him, you're reminded that you're priceless, chosen, and destined for greatness. Zephaniah 3:17 says, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you." Your pause is your moment to feel His delight, chosen one, to know that you're valued beyond measure, created for a purpose that shines. God's voice is a blueprint for your breakthrough. You might feel stuck, like the path ahead is blocked, but His words are the key to unlocking what's next. When you pause, you're giving Him space to show you the door, the opportunity, the moment that changes everything. John 10:9 says, "I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture." Your pause is your gateway, chosen one, leading you to a life of freedom and abundance. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for divine acceleration. God's plans move faster than the world's, and His voice sets the pace. Think of Elisha, called to follow Elijah in 1 Kings 19. He didn't rush blindly, he paused, burned his old life, and stepped into a new calling. Your pause is your burning moment, chosen one, where you let go of what holds you back and step into a future that moves at God's speed, carrying you to places you never imagined. This moment is about embracing His presence. The world pulls you into distraction, but God pulls you into intimacy. When you stop to hear Him, you're not just listening, you're dwelling with Him, letting His presence fill you with strength. Psalm 27:4 says, "One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." Your pause is your dwelling place, chosen one, a moment where His presence becomes your home. God's instruction to stop is a call to trust His vision. You might see limits, closed doors, empty accounts, broken plans, but He sees possibilities. When you pause, you're trading your perspective for His, seeing the opportunities He's already set before you. Isaiah 55:8 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." Your pause is your moment to align with His higher ways, chosen one, to see the future He's designed for you. You're part of a sacred movement, chosen one, a community of souls who hear God's voice and answer with faith. If this message is igniting your spirit, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking in His truth. Your support keeps this light burning, reaching hearts that need His hope. Let's keep going, because God's voice is guiding you to a destiny that will leave the world in awe. This pause is also about reclaiming your focus. The world scatters your attention, pulling you toward worry or distraction, but God's voice centers you. When you stop to hear Him, you're locking in on what matters: His purpose, His plan, His promise. Colossians 3:2 says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." Your pause is your moment to set your mind on Him, chosen one, to let His truth sharpen your focus and guide your steps. God's voice is a promise of restoration. You may have lost time, opportunities, or dreams, but He's saying, "Stop and let me give it back." His words don't just guide, they heal, bringing back what the enemy stole. Joel 2:26 says, "You will have plenty to eat until you are full, and you will praise the name of the Lord your God." Your pause is your moment of plenty, chosen one, where His provision overflows, restoring what was lost and filling you with praise. You're not just pausing, you're stepping into divine timing. The world's clock ticks with urgency, but God's clock ticks with perfection. When you stop to hear Him, you're syncing with His rhythm, trusting that every moment is part of His plan. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Your pause is your season, chosen one, a time to trust that His timing is flawless. This moment is about rediscovering your voice. The enemy may have tried to silence you, to make you doubt your words, but God's voice empowers yours. When you pause, you're learning to speak His truth, to declare His promises, to call forth your destiny. Psalm 19:14 says, "May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight." Your pause is your moment to speak, chosen one, to let your words carry His power and shape your future. God's instruction to stop is a call to break free from striving. The world tells you to grind endlessly, but God tells you to trust effortlessly. When you pause, you're letting go of the need to force things, trusting that His plan unfolds in His strength. Psalm 127:2 says, "In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for He grants sleep to those He loves." Your pause is your sleep, chosen one, a moment of rest in His love, knowing He's working for you. You're standing at a divine threshold where His voice transforms your reality. This pause isn't about delay, it's about discovery, about finding the path He's carved for you. Jeremiah 6:16 says, "Stand at the crossroads and look, ask for the ancient paths, ask where the good way is, and walk in it." Your pause is your crossroads, chosen one, where you ask for His way and step into a journey that leads to peace, purpose, and power. This moment is also about embracing your legacy. You weren't created for temporary wins, you were created for eternal impact. When you stop to hear God, He's showing you the mark you'll leave, the lives you'll touch, the story you'll tell. Psalm 112:6 says, "Surely the righteous will never be shaken, they will be remembered forever." Your pause is your moment to build that legacy, chosen one, to let His voice guide you to a life that echoes through generations. God's voice is a shield against doubt. The enemy wants you to question your path, but His words are your certainty. When you pause, you're stepping into His assurance, letting His truth drown out every lie. Hebrews 10:23 says, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for He who promised is faithful." Your pause is your hope, chosen one, a moment to hold fast to His faithfulness and trust His promises. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for divine increase. God's plans for you aren't small, they're vast, overflowing, unstoppable. When you stop to hear Him, you're opening your life to a multiplication of blessings, opportunities, and impact. Luke 6:38 says, "Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." Your pause is your giving, chosen one, a moment of faith that invites His overflow into your life. This moment is about stepping into His joy. The world offers fleeting happiness, but God offers a joy that lasts. When you pause to hear Him, you're tapping into a wellspring of delight that strengthens you for the journey. Psalm 16:11 says, "In your presence there is fullness of joy." Your pause is your presence, chosen one, a moment where His joy fills you, lighting the way to a future that shines with His glory. Stay with me, because God's voice is leading you to a destiny that will leave the world breathless. Chosen one. God's call to pause is a divine invitation to step into His clarity, to let His voice cut through the haze of life's uncertainties. The world bombards you with confusion, competing voices, endless choices, fleeting distractions, but God is pulling you into a moment where His truth becomes your compass. This isn't about standing still, it's about standing firm, letting His words anchor you in purpose. Psalm 119:105 says, "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." When you stop to hear Him, you're not just pausing, you're illuminating your journey with His unshakable light. Imagine a seed buried in the earth, waiting in darkness before it breaks through to sunlight. That's what this pause is for you, a moment of hidden growth, where God's voice nurtures the dreams planted in your heart. You're not dormant, you're developing, letting His words water your potential, preparing you to rise into a season of flourishing. This stillness is your soil, chosen one, where His truth takes root, ready to sprout into a life of abundance and impact. You've been carrying burdens, maybe regrets from yesterday, maybe worries about tomorrow. God sees every weight pressing on you, and He's saying, "Stop and let me lift them." His voice isn't just guidance, it's liberation, freeing you from chains you don't need to carry. Isaiah 61:1 says, "He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives." Your pause is your freedom, chosen one, a moment where His voice breaks every chain, setting you free to walk in His purpose. This pause is also about rediscovering your resilience. The world may have tested you, pushed you to your limits, but God's voice reminds you of your strength. Think of Paul and Silas, singing in a prison cell, their faith unshaken by chains. Acts 16:25 says, "About midnight Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God." Your pause is your midnight moment, chosen one, where His voice turns your trials into songs, into your struggles into strength, your pain into praise. God's instruction to stop is a call to align with His rhythm. The world moves to a frantic beat, but His pace is steady, purposeful, perfect. When you pause, you're syncing your heart with His timing, trusting that every step is part of His plan. Psalm 31:14-15 says, "But I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands." Your pause is your trust, chosen one, a moment where you place your time in His hands and watch Him weave it into something beautiful. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for divine opportunities. God is opening doors, but they're not the kind you force open, they're the kind you walk through in faith. When you stop to hear Him, you're tuning your spirit to recognize these moments, to see the paths He's clearing. Revelation 3:8 says, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." Your pause is your open door, chosen one, a moment to step into opportunities crafted by His hand. This moment is about embracing His provision. You might feel like resources are scarce, money, time, energy, but God's voice assures you that He's more than enough. When you pause, you're trusting that He's already supplying what you need. 2 Corinthians 9-8 says, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." Your pause is your abundance, chosen one, a moment where His provision flows to meet every need. God's voice is a shield against the enemy's lies. The world may tell you you're not enough, that your dreams are too big, that your time has passed. But when you stop to hear Him, His truth drowns out the noise. You're reminded that you're chosen, equipped, destined. 1 John 4:4 says, "The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world." Your pause is your power, chosen one, a moment where His greatness in you overcomes every lie. You're part of a holy movement, chosen one, a family of souls who hear God's call and rise in faith. If this message is stirring your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking in His light. Your support keeps this truth spreading, touching lives that need His hope. Let's keep moving, because God's voice is guiding you to a future that will shine with His glory. This pause is also about reclaiming your vision. The world blurs your focus with distractions, but God's voice sharpens it. When you stop, you're giving Him space to paint a picture of your future, one where your purpose thrives, your dreams come alive, your impact grows. Habakkuk 2-3 says, "Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Your pause is your waiting, chosen one, a moment where His vision for you becomes clear, ready to unfold in His perfect time. God's instruction to stop is a call to trust His process. You might want to rush ahead, to make things happen on your own, but His way is better. When you pause, you're letting Him work behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, preparing breakthroughs. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Your pause is your commitment, chosen one, a moment where you hand Him your plans and watch Him build something greater. You're not just pausing, you're stepping into divine protection. The enemy wants to keep you running, vulnerable to his attacks, but God's voice is your fortress. When you stop to hear Him, you're stepping under His covering, safe from every scheme. Psalm 121:7 says, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life." Your pause is your safety, chosen one, a moment where His watch over you shields you from anything that tries to steal your destiny. This moment is about rediscovering your joy. Life's battles may have dimmed your smile, but God's voice reignites it. When you pause, you're letting His joy fill you, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstances, but on His presence. Psalm 30:5 says, "Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." Your pause is your morning, chosen one, a moment where His joy rises in you, lighting the way to a future of hope. God's voice is a promise of transformation. You might feel like the same person, but His words are changing you, shaping you into someone bolder, wiser, stronger. When you stop to hear Him, you're stepping into a process of renewal, where old limits fall away and new possibilities emerge. Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Your pause is your renewal, chosen one, a moment where His voice reshapes your heart for His purpose. You're standing at a divine intersection, where His voice connects your past to your future. Every trial, every prayer, every step has led you here. And this pause is where it all makes sense. Isaiah 46:10 says, "I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. Your pause is your moment to see his plan, chosen one, to trust that he's weaving every moment into a story of victory. This moment is also about embracing your authority. The world may try to make you feel powerless, but God's voice reminds you of your power. You're not just a bystander, you're a co-creator with him, called to shape your future with faith. Luke 10:19 says, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions." Your pause is your authority, chosen one, at a moment to step into the power he's given you and walk boldly toward your destiny. God's instruction to stop is a call to see his faithfulness. Every time you've fallen, he's lifted you. Every time you've wandered, he's guided you. When you pause, you're remembering his track record, trusting that he'll do it again. Deuteronomy 31:8 says, "The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you." Your pause is your moment to trust his presence, chosen one, to know that he's already gone ahead, preparing the way. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for divine impact. God didn't choose you for a small life. He chose you for a legacy, for a purpose that changes lives. When you stop to hear him, you're aligning with a mission that ripples beyond you, touching the world with his love. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your pause is your light, chosen one, a moment to shine his truth and make a difference that lasts. This moment is about stepping into his rest. The world demands hustle, but God offers peace. When you pause, you're entering a rest that renews you, a calm that strengthens you for what's ahead. Hebrews 4:11 says, "Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest." Your pause is your rest, chosen one, a moment where his peace fills you, preparing you for a journey of purpose and power. Stay with me, because God's voice is leading you to a future that will leave the world in awe. Chosen one, God's call to pause is a divine summons to step into his perspective, to see your life through his eyes. The world clouds your view with doubt and distraction, but his voice lifts you above the fog, revealing a path marked by purpose. This isn't about stopping your journey. It's about elevating it, letting his truth redefine what's possible. Psalm 34:8 says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." When you pause to hear him, you're tasting his goodness. Chosen one, seeing a future that shines with his promise. Picture a canvas stretched before you, blank but full of potential, waiting for the brushstrokes of a master artist. That's what this pause is, God's hand painting your life with colors of hope, purpose, and abundance. You're not idle. You're a work in progress, letting his voice add every stroke, creating a masterpiece that reflects his glory. This stillness is your canvas, chosen one, where his words shape a story that will inspire the world. You've been carrying questions maybe about your purpose, your worth, or the next step. God sees every uncertainty swirling in your heart, and he's saying, "Stop and let me show you." His voice doesn't just answer, it reveals, unveiling truths you couldn't see on your own. John 8:32 says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Your pause is your freedom, chosen one, a moment where his truth liberates you from doubt, guiding you to clarity. This pause is also about rediscovering your strength. Life's battles may have left you weary, but God's voice is your renewal. Think of Samson, who, even after losing his strength, found it again in his final moment of faith. Judges 16:28 says, "Then Samson prayed to the Lord, 'Sovereign Lord, remember me.'" Your pause is your prayer, chosen one, a moment where his voice restores your strength, empowering you to rise stronger than ever. God's instruction to stop is a call to trust his timing. The world rushes you, demanding instant results, but his pace is perfect, deliberate, eternal. When you pause, you're aligning with his clock, trusting that every moment is part of his plan. Psalm 90:4 says, "1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by." Your pause is your alignment, chosen one. A moment where his timing becomes your rhythm, leading you to a future crafted by his hand. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for divine connections. God is weaving a network around you, people who will uplift you, challenge you, and walk with you toward his purpose. When you stop to hear him, you're opening your heart to recognize these divine encounters, to see the allies he's sending. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor." Your pause is your connection, chosen one, a moment to embrace the community that will amplify your calling. This moment is about embracing his peace. The world stirs anxiety, but God's voice brings calm. When you pause, you're stepping into a tranquility that guards your heart, no matter the storm. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Your pause is your peace, chosen one, a moment where his voice steadies you, preparing you for a journey of unshakable calm. God's voice is a promise of provision. You might feel stretched thin by bills, by time, by dreams that seem out of reach. But his words assure you that he's already moving. When you stop to hear him, you're trusting that his resources are on the way. Matthew 7:7 says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find." Your pause is your seeking, chosen one, a moment where his provision flows to meet every need. You're part of a holy movement, chosen one, a family of souls who hear God's call and rise in faith. If this message is setting your heart ablaze, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking in his truth. Your support keeps this light spreading, touching lives that need his hope. Let's keep moving, because God's voice is guiding you to a destiny that will leave the world breathless. This pause is also about reclaiming your vision. The world blurs your dreams with doubt, but God's voice sharpens them. When you stop, you're letting him show you a future where your purpose thrives, your gifts shine, and your impact grows. Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Your pause is your vision, chosen one, a moment where his voice paints a picture of a life that radiates his glory. God's instruction to stop is a call to break free from fear. The enemy wants you to run in panic, but his voice anchors you in courage. When you pause, you're stepping out of fear's shadow and into his light. Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Your pause is your courage, chosen one, a moment where his voice fills you with boldness to face anything. You're not just pausing, you're preparing for divine transformation. God's voice doesn't just guide, it changes you, reshaping your heart, renewing your mind, aligning you with his purpose. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, "We are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory." Your pause is your transformation, chosen one, a moment where his voice molds you into the person you were created to be. This moment is about rediscovering your authority. The world may try to make you feel small, but God's voice reminds you of your power. You're not just a bystander, you're a co-creator with him, called to shape your future with faith. Luke 10:19 says, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions." Your pause is your authority, chosen one, a moment to step into the power He's given you and walk boldly toward your destiny. God's voice is a shield against the enemy's lies. The world may tell you your dreams are too big, your past too heavy, your future too uncertain, but when you stop to hear Him, His truth silences every deception. 1 John 5-4 says, "For everyone born of God overcomes the world." Your pause is your overcoming, chosen one, a moment where His voice equips you to rise above every obstacle. You're standing at a divine crossroads, where His voice connects your past to your future. Every trial you've faced, every prayer you've prayed, every step you've taken, it's all led you here. Isaiah 55:11 says, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty." Your pause is your moment to trust His word, chosen one, to know that it's working, shaping a future that shines with His promise. This moment is also about embracing your legacy. You weren't created for fleeting moments. You were created for eternal impact. When you pause, you're letting God show you the mark you'll leave, the lives you'll touch, the story you'll tell. Psalm 112:2 says, "Their children will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed." Your pause is your legacy, chosen one, a moment to build something that lasts for generations. God's instruction to stop is a call to trust His process. You might want to force things to happen, but His way is better. When you pause, you're letting Him work, aligning circumstances, preparing breakthroughs. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Your pause is your trust, chosen one, a moment where you let Him establish your steps toward a future of abundance. You're not just pausing, you're stepping into divine rest. The world demands hustle, but God offers peace. When you stop to hear Him, you're entering a rest that renews you, a calm that strengthens you. Hebrews 4-9 says, "There remains then a Sabbath rest for the people of God." Your pause is your rest, chosen one, a moment where His peace fills you, preparing you for a journey of purpose. This moment is about rediscovering your joy. Life's struggles may have dulled your spark, but God's voice reignites it. When you pause, you're letting His joy fill you, a joy that doesn't fade with circumstances. Nehemiah 8:10 says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." Your pause is your joy, chosen one, a moment where His voice lifts you, lighting the way to a future that shines with His glory. Stay with me, because God's voice is leading you to a destiny that will leave the world in awe.